The day after my fiancé publicly jilted me, I boarded a plane to Shanghai. He comforted his girlfriend, saying, "Vivian Clark has been spoiled since childhood. She'll come back on her own after a couple of days of tantrums. You don't need to blame yourself." My friends were all afraid that I would still cling to Gabriel Dalton and cause another uproar, but they didn't know that I had already accepted someone else's marriage proposal. This flight to Shanghai, I was going to get married. As the wedding day approached, I sent back Gabriel every single gift he had given me over the years, without missing a single item, including that cherished promise necklace I once treasured. From now on, like the endless flowing river, we part forever. Gabriel publicly fleeing the wedding scene is a memory that still brings me shame to this day. The banquet hall was packed to capacity, yet utterly silent. The air seemed to freeze, with even the sound of breathing clearly audible. After what felt like an eternity, Natalie Brooks, whom he was tightly holding onto, cautiously spoke. "Gabriel, don't be like this. Vivian is still young, small, he's almost 26, isn't he?" A mocking whisper came from the corner. The rising and falling murmurs made the atmosphere even more oppressive. I stubbornly clutched Gabriel's sleeve, unwilling to believe the truth. But when I looked at Gabriel, my eyes were already moist. "Vivian, why make me say it so harshly?" Gabriel set down the champagne and slowly rose to his feet. "How many times must I say it? We're just products of an arranged marriage between families. I don't love you, and I never will." I choked back tears as I retorted. "Then why won't you let me date anyone? Because you're my fiancé in name. If you stir up any of those filthy scandals, you'll disgrace both the Clark and Dalton families. Then why did you kiss me on the night of my graduation ceremony?" Gabriel flashed a trace of irritation in his eyes. "That was you acting drunk and insisting on coming closer yourself." I suddenly laughed, but tears kept streaming down uncontrollably. "But all these years, apart from me, there's never been another woman by your side. Do you really not have any feelings for me at all?" "That's because I haven't met a girl I truly like yet." Gabriel put his arm around Natalie's shoulder. "I'm saying this for the last time. Listen carefully. The one I love is Natalie. And I will marry her. All your old tricks won't work this time." Natalie snuggled into his arms. Gabriel lowered his head and kissed her. Natalie wrapped her arms around his neck and responded passionately. At my engagement ceremony, he was openly intimate with another woman in front of everyone. At that moment, I remembered the kiss on the night of our graduation ceremony. The same tenderness, the same passion. It kept me intoxicated in a beautiful dream for 4 years. Foolishly believing that I still had a place in his heart, Gabriel moved out of Dalton family's old house, and Natalie moved into a luxury riverside mansion together. On the day he moved, he deliberately asked other friends not to tell me, probably afraid I'd go cause trouble again. This time, I didn't act impulsively anymore, chasing after him to his company building, crying my eyes out, just a wave of bitterness welling up in my heart. I forced myself to push all these thoughts out of my mind. In the evening, I had dinner with a few friends nearby. When settling the bill, I ran into Natalie. "Vivian, Gabriel is also here. Would you like to go say hello?" I gently waved my hand. "Sorry, I've already made plans with a friend, so I won't be joining." Natalie's eyes suddenly welled up with tears. "Vivian, I know my family background isn't as good as yours, but could you please stop bad-mouthing me in front of them all the time?" I looked at her in disbelief. "Miss Brooks, I've never spoken about you in front of the elders," Natalie tearfully said. "I understand. You are Gabriel's childhood fiancé and have always loved him deeply. It's completely normal to struggle with accepting our relationship at first. But Vivian, as fellow women, wouldn't it be better to learn to let go? I've always been straightforward by nature, never one for beating around the bush." Upon hearing this, they immediately grew anxious. "Natalie, please don't talk nonsense here." Before the words could even finish, Natalie suddenly went limp and collapsed to her knees. "Vivian, I'm really begging you." I was startled and quickly reached out to help her up, but before my hand could reach her, she suddenly fell backward. "Vivian, what are you doing?" Gabriel's furious voice came from behind. A tremendous force violently shoved me away. My arm slammed heavily against the iron railing, and excruciating pain instantly surged through my entire body. "Gabriel, listen to me." This is just a misunderstanding. You still dare to make excuses. How long have you been playing this trick? Gabriel pulled Natalie into his arms. He glared at me sharply, as if trying to pierce through me. Vivian, apologize to her right now. Gabriel, shut up and apologize immediately. Natalie trembled slightly in his arms, tears silently streaming down her pitiful face. My arm was already covered in dark bruises. The spreading bruises were faintly visible beneath the skin, the shocking scars. But Gabriel didn't even glance at them. The way he looked at me was as if I were a heinous criminal. A bitter smile curled at the corner of my lips, unwilling to utter another word. I'm sorry. Gabriel seemed to freeze for a moment, but then his gaze turned even sharper, not sincere enough. I straightened my back and bowed deeply. Is this better? Natalie looked at me, the corners of her lips curling slightly upward, then quickly turned to sobs, saying to Gabriel, "Forget it, Gabriel. How dare I accept such an apology?" Gabriel's expression instantly softened. "Vivian, I told you long ago that Natalie is different from the others. Bullying her like this only makes me despise you more, and it makes me cherish her even more." He wrapped his arm around Natalie and walked away. I stood alone in place, not knowing how much time had passed. The pain in my arm was unbearable, like being pricked by needles, yet my heart was strangely calm. At last, I understood, at this very moment. All those youthful delusions of grandeur turned into mere bubbles, vanished without a trace. That night, Gabriel posted several updates on his social media in a row. People in the circle immediately sent me the screenshots, especially Gabriel's copywriting, which was all highlighted. I knew exactly what they were up to. In the past, every time something like this happened, I would impulsively go to Gabriel and make a scene. Although he was always impatient, he would eventually give in. This made me mistakenly believe that he actually cared about me, and it made me increasingly unable to know when to stop. This time, I chose to remain silent. Instead, I dialed the unanswered call from a week ago. "Mr. Barrett, this is Vivian. I've thought through what you mentioned last time. When I was 13, my parents passed away in an accident. Because of our family's long-standing friendship with the Daltons and living nearby, I moved into the Dalton household, until Auntie called. Auntie was my mother's closest friend in her youth. But later, she left for love and moved far away, cutting off contact. When she settled down in Jingbei, my parents had already passed away. Auntie wanted me to live in Jingbei. She also wanted to fulfill the promise she made with my mother in their youth. She wanted me to marry her son and become Barrett's daughter-in-law. A week ago, I didn't agree immediately, but I couldn't bear to refuse either, only saying I needed time to think. Yet tonight, I suddenly saw clearly the delusion I've been clinging to all these years. One-sided affection is truly laughable. I don't want to be the subject of others' gossip anymore. Half a year ago, Gabriel wanted to break off our engagement. At that time, I absolutely refused and made several tearful scenes, but he never changed his mind. Looking back now, perhaps this was the best arrangement. Maybe it was all meant to be. On the other end of the phone, Auntie said happily, "Vivian, Yangju has been waiting for your answer. He's about to fly to Beijing to propose to you." Holding my phone, I suddenly felt my cheeks burning, yet the laughter coming through the receiver left me strangely empty. Someone I had a crush on for 10 years, never thought it would take just 7 short days to truly let go. Gabriel and Natalie chose to get engaged on the day I left for North Capital, so hardly anyone came to see me off. After landing, I turned on my phone. Notification sounds kept ringing. Most of them were about Gabriel-Natalie's engagement. I smiled and blocked all of them. Before coming to Jingbei, I had met Joel Barrett. I didn't want to make too much of a show, nor did I want to invite gossip. Joel completely understood my thoughts. He proposed to me, and we exchanged rings. Just like that, we got engaged simply. My account received a gift of 100 million. A simple diamond ring now adorned my finger. Just as I was about to get into the Barrett family's car, my phone suddenly rang. "Is Gabriel's cousin Dalton Yunshi?" "Vivian, the engagement ceremony is about to start. Where are you?" "Just arrived in Shanghai. Hurry back, there's still time." "What are you going back for?" I said calmly. Dalton Yunshi was momentarily speechless. "Are you thinking of doing something drastic?" If I don't go back and make some noise, my brother will really become someone else's. Isn't this your brother's major life event? Why should I go and make a scene? Vivian. Dalton Yunch's voice suddenly rose sharply. Have you lost your mind? I was about to hang up when the voice on the other end switched to Natalie S. Vivian, aren't you coming to Gabriel S and my engagement ceremony? Although you were Gabriel's former fiancé, Gabriel has always treated you like a younger sister. As his future sister-in-law, I hope to receive your blessings. I raised my eyes to look at the figure in the distance. He leaned against the luxury car, his gaze gentle. My heart suddenly felt at peace. Great. May you grow old together in harmony and remain united in heart forever. Gabriel was drinking on the terrace with a few friends. His gaze occasionally drifted toward Dalton Yunch's group. He knew them all too well. That group of people is again reporting to Vivian. Just like countless times before, whenever a girl appears by his side, this group immediately informs Vivian. Then Vivian would come and make a scene. He detested such persistent entanglements the most. Gradually, he cut off contact with those female companions. This time would likely be no exception, so he deliberately chose the day Vivian went to Shanghai. It's just unfortunate that the engagement ceremony is scheduled for 7 p.m. Gabriel has a bit of a headache. After all, Vivian booked a flight immediately upon hearing the news, just in time for the engagement ceremony to begin. Gabriel, what if Vivian comes back to cause trouble? Yeah, she was your ex-fiancé after all. If she finds out you're with someone else, she'll definitely go crazy. But lately she seems to have been keeping a low profile. You even jilted the wedding for Natalie, yet she didn't react at all. In the past, she would have been wailing and gnashing her teeth by now. Gabriel's wine glass froze midair. He forgot to take a sip. My mind is filled with that last sentence my friend said. Vivian has indeed been too quiet lately. Quiet in a way that's unlike her. From what he knew of her, this was completely out of character. Over all these years, he had rejected her countless times. But she never gave up, always growing stronger with each setback. Now that she's older, she's become more composed than before. Gabriel suddenly thought of something. He chuckled lightly and set down his wine glass. Just wait and see, she's never been one to stay quiet. Gabriel, are you saying Vivian will come back to cause trouble? Gabriel did not respond, but in his heart, he was already certain. This girl has always been an emotional soul since childhood. During her teenage years, she was obsessed with idol dramas to the point of life and death. She practiced plenty of those childish tricks on him. He knew it all too well. This period of calm is nothing but a feigned retreat. He would bet that, at the latest, by the time the engagement ceremony begins, Vivian will definitely show up. Increase security vigilance. Gabriel glanced at his wristwatch. Don't let irrelevant people in to cause trouble. As soon as the words were spoken, Dalton Yunchi came running in a hurry. Brother, Vivian is here. The car has already reached the main gate. Gabriel felt an inexplicable stir in his heart. Then his face darkened. What a stubborn troublemaker, still causing chaos. Brother, what should we do now? If she makes a scene, the reputation of our Dalton family. Gabriel walked out with a dark expression. Let me see what tricks she can pull. The crowd followed him out. As soon as he stepped onto the terrace, Natalie softly called out to him. Gabriel. Natalie was wearing a champagne-colored gown. Her hairstyle was exquisitely elegant, and her makeup was fresh and understated. The engagement ceremony is at 7 o'clock. There are still a few hours left. Natalie was anxious inside but appeared calm on the surface. What brings you here? Gabriel stopped in his tracks. His gaze rested on Natalie's face. Natalie was beautiful. The kind of gentle beauty that makes one want to protect her. Unlike Vivian's willful flamboyance, due to her impoverished family background, Natalie had a somewhat timid personality. She always spoke with a hint of caution. During his most irritable days, he was being Vivian pestered to the point of irritation. It was easy to be Natalie moved by her gentle charm. Moreover, unlike the few who had actively approached him before, his acquaintance with Natalie began with a rescue from the red light district. Every man has a hero complex. His feelings for Natalie were completely different from his past casual relationships. I heard Vivian is back. Natalie's eyes reddened before she could finish speaking. I'm a little worried. Natalie bit her lip and lowered her head. Gabriel. Will we be unable to complete the engagement ceremony today? Don't overthink it. Gabriel held Natalie's shoulders, gently comforting her. I'll go handle it right away. Natalie grabbed his sleeve instead. Gabriel, I'm scared. I'm afraid you'll regret calling off the engagement with her. Natalie, tears streamed down her face, petite and fragile. She stood there as if she might shatter at any moment. Don't worry, Natalie sis. My brother never had feelings for Vivian. Dalton's smug smile flashed in Yunchi's eyes. She's just a spoiled rich girl who throws tantrums at the drop of a hat. My brother has long been fed up with her. She can forget about getting her way. Dalton Yunchi never bothered to conceal her disdain for her. Ever since that girl became engaged to her brother, Yunchi's once doting parents had placed the other on a pedestal. Although they always said that girl would be her future sister-in-law, Dalton family treated her exceptionally well just to save face. But Dalton Yunchi simply couldn't stand her. Over the years, her greatest joy was watching the other person make a fool of themselves. Now that person was publicly jilted and left Shanghai alone in disgrace. Dalton Yunchi couldn't be more delighted in her heart right now. Frankly, she'd support anyone becoming her sister-in-law, except that person. Gabriel suddenly turned to look at Dalton Yunchi. Haven't you always been on good terms with her? How could I possibly be on good terms with her? I can't wait for you two to call off the engagement. By this point, Dalton Yunchi couldn't be bothered to keep up the act anymore. All the deliberate kindness in the past was just to gain her trust. To make her listen to me and do some annoying things. Now there's no need to pretend anymore. What a relief. Dalton Yunchi didn't notice Gabriel's change in expression. He continued, brother, how about this? You stay with sister-in-law, and I'll go deal with her. Don't worry, I'll make sure she loses face big time. How do you plan to do that? Have security throw her out? Her parents' spirits in heaven would be so furious they'd come back to life. Before the words had even finished, the crisp sound of a slap echoed through the hall. Everyone froze in shock, especially Natalie, her brows furrowed tightly as her gaze at Gabriel gradually darkened. Brother, why did you hit me? Dalton Yunchi covered her face, crying her heart out. She was once my nominal fiancé. You should at least respect her. Gabriel's expression was terrifyingly dark. She's been bearing the title of my fiancé for so many years. By humiliating her like this, where does that leave the dignity of the Dalton family? Why are you speaking up for her? Weren't you the one who couldn't stand her the most? Dalton Yunchi sobbed uncontrollably, her face streaked with tears. If you hadn't led the way in disliking her, how could we have ended up like this? He remained silent, not uttering a word for a long time. Was he really as fed up with her as they claimed? But clearly, when he first met that girl, their relationship was the closest. When she fell, it was he who carried her to the hospital. When she was bullied, he was the first to rush to the scene and stand up for her. Even when she experienced her first period, it was he who went out late at night to buy the necessities. She regarded him as her support. As she grew up, she even saw him as her whole world. He actually quite enjoyed her dependence. When exactly did things start to change? Gabriel suddenly felt lost in his heart. Meanwhile, Natalie's sobbing brought his thoughts back to reality. Yes, it was she who changed first. As she grew up, her family spoiled her beyond all limits, becoming increasingly willful, domineering and authoritarian, forbids him from interacting with any girls, throws tantrums at the drop of a hat. So, he grew increasingly annoyed and distant from her. He even insisted on sending her to study in Shanghai, disregarding her tearful pleas to stay. He did this, simply hoping she would mature and become more sensible. He'll go pick her up once she changes her bad temper. All these years of feelings. How could he truly let go and leave her drifting alone in a foreign land? But now it seems, she hasn't improved at all, daring to act like this on such an important occasion, continuing to be willful and reckless. She's truly something else. Just arrived, and already turned the Dalton household upside down. Gabriel pulled Natalie into his arms. Go touch up your makeup first. Have the makeup artist redo it for you. I'll come find you once I've sorted things out here. The engagement ceremony will start on time. Don't worry. Gabriel wiped away Natalie's tears before turning to leave. Natalie stood still, watching Gabriel's receding figure. For some reason, she always felt uneasy inside. Dalton Yunchi was right just now. Everyone knew he was cold toward her. Yet he struck his own cousin over just a few words. Does he really hate her, or is she still special in his heart? Gabriel walked to the main gate. No one was in sight, only the pink BMW was seen parked there. And standing by the car was her closest friend. Gabriel's footsteps suddenly halted. It felt as if something tugged at her heart, causing it to sink slightly. Only then did he remember, before she left Jingbei, she had already given the car to a friend. Upon seeing him, the other person immediately walked over. Gabriel saw that she was holding a red envelope in her hand. With a cold expression, she got straight to the point. She asked me to give you and Natalie red envelopes. Gabriel didn't reach out his hand. She frowned. There's one more thing. Speak. She left in such a hurry that there was never a chance to see you. I've tried contacting you many times, but couldn't get through, so I never had the opportunity to ask for this thing back. Remember that year on your birthday, she gave you a ring? That was a family heirloom passed down to her by her grandmother, Lin Yu said with a displeased expression. Vivian told me this ring was meant for her future husband. It's really not appropriate for it to still be in your possession now. Could you give me the ring? I'll pass it to Vivian when I meet her in Shanghai. Gabriel suddenly lowered his head. His gaze fell upon the understated ring on his ring finger. This morning while changing clothes, he had inexplicably put on this ring. It didn't really match his suit, yet he didn't take it off. But now, looking at this ring again, it only felt glaring, a gift for her future husband. An inexplicable restlessness wells up inside at the thought that Vivian will spend her life with someone else in the future, day and night together, sharing life's hardships and joys. An indescribable discomfort surges in his chest. She had once loved him so deeply. How could I possibly marry someone else? Avoiding meeting at this moment sent Lin Yu to demand it. Quite shrewd indeed, I have to say. This move really unsettled him. Mr. Dalton, tell Vivian for me. I never take back what I've given away. Of course, if she insists, she might as well come and discuss it in person. Gabriel finished speaking and turned to leave. Lin Yu quickly called out to stop him. Mr. Dalton, wait, I'll have Vivian speak with you now. Are you kidding me? Vivian is about to enter the marriage hall. How could such a ring, carrying special significance, remain in someone else's hands? Vivian repeatedly reminded her. The ring must be retrieved before the wedding. She wants to personally put it on her husband's finger during the ceremony. Over the years, Lin Yu's hatred for Gabriel has only grown stronger. Yet Vivian remains hopelessly infatuated, utterly unreasonable, wasting youthful years in bitter waiting, only to be heartlessly abandoned in the end. Every time Lin Yu thinks about it, she can't help but want to slap Gabriel twice. Fortunately, she has finally seen the reality clearly now, and has found a better destination. Lin Yu felt genuinely happy for her friend. This time, she was determined to fulfill the entrusted task. I received a call from Lin Yu. The car was almost at Barrett's house. Yeah, what's wrong, Vivian? I went to ask Gabriel for the ring as you told me, but he refused to give it to me and said if you insist, you'll have to come talk to him personally. I couldn't help but glance at Joel beside me. I feel a bit nervous inside. I'm still quite unfamiliar with him, although he appears gentle and refined, with impeccable manners. Yet the aura around him is so powerful that it's impossible to ignore. He just took a work call in the car, switching effortlessly between 3 languages, issuing commands decisively and efficiently. That innate air of authority, it made me seem childish and naive. Actually, I'm not a quiet person by nature, but in front of Joel, I inexplicably became reserved. I hadn't had the chance to reply to Lin Yu yet. The voice on the other end of the line switched to Gabriels. Vivian, do you genuinely want the ring, or do you have ulterior motives? I froze for a moment, then laughed in exasperation. If you're trying to sabotage my engagement party with Natalie, I advise you not to waste your effort. If you want the ring back, then take it the same way you gave it to me. After all, such a precious item shouldn't be passed through others' hands. I took a deep breath, trying to keep my tone calm. Lin Yu is my closest friend. Just give it to her. I'll take all the responsibility. Gabriel chuckled. Vivian, do I have to spell it out for you? Just return it the same way you gave it to me back then. The call abruptly ended. I was both angry and embarrassed, my cheeks flushing red. How did that ring end up with him? It was on the day of my graduation ceremony. summoning all my courage. I kissed him under the cherry blossom tree on campus. That was the first time I took the initiative to kiss someone. He seemed a bit surprised, but didn't push me away. At that moment, I thought I had finally waited for the right time. Trembling, I took the ring out of my pocket, gently placed it in the palm of his hand. I told him the meaning of this ring. He remained silent for a moment before finally accepting it, and so, I thought he had tacitly agreed to and accepted my love. These past few years have felt like a terrible dream. Now that the dream is over, I just want to settle accounts with the past. I thought Gabriel would jump at the chance, would return the ring to me like throwing away trash. I never expected him to say that. It was only at this moment that I belatedly realized. The impulsiveness of youth will one day demand its price. If this ring didn't carry that meaning, I won't ask for it back at all, but I'm about to get married. If the ring stays with Gabriel, it would be too unfair to Joel. Ran into some trouble. Joel suddenly spoke. I couldn't help but look up, meeting his profound gaze. An indescribable embarrassment welled up in my heart. I don't want to hide anything, but our relationship is still too shallow at this point. It's really hard to bring it up. Nothing. I shook my head slightly, thinking to myself, even if I have to ask Dalton uncle for help, I must get the things back. Having made up my mind, I gradually relaxed. Nothing serious. Just some trivial matters to deal with at Dalton's place. I forced a casual smile at Joel. I can handle it myself. Joel simply nodded faintly. Alright, if you encounter anything you can't resolve, Vivian, don't hesitate to ask if you need anything. After all, you'll soon be my wife. He said it so naturally. This intimate form of address wasn't the first time. Yet my ears still burned with warmth, especially when hearing the word wife. Even my neck started to feel hot. Our marriage has been arranged. In just half a month, I'll be marrying him. My heart was a whirlwind of emotions, yet there was a faint trace of anticipation and sweetness. I didn't dare to look him in the eye. I stole a glance at him and softly murmured in response. Joel didn't say anything more. The car stopped in front of Barrett's villa. He got out of the car first, then he walked around to my side and opened the door for me. I noticed the faint glimmer of the diamond ring on his left ring finger. Ever since the day of the engagement ceremony when he put it on, he has never taken it off. He gently helped me out of the car. Once I steadied myself, his hand still held onto mine. Then naturally, our fingers intertwined. At first, I felt a bit uneasy, but the warmth from his palm was comforting. Slender fingers gently clasped my hand. I gradually relaxed, as if all of this was the most natural thing in the world. In the distance, Aunt Ju saw us walking hand in hand. A relieved smile immediately blossomed on her face. She quickly walked towards us. Before we could even get close, Aunt Ju tightly hugged me, tears streaming down her face. Vivian, you look just like your mother when she was young. I could no longer hold back, and tears flooded down. The familiar scent on her brought back the memory of my mother's fragrance from my hazy childhood. Joel stood by, shaking his head helplessly. He took a handkerchief from his pocket and handed it over. Auntie, please don't. Vivian and you hug and cry together. Outsiders might think we're bullying you. Auntie Ju wiped away her tears with a smile, then helped dry mine. She then tightly grasped my hand. Vivian, come home with Auntie. My gaze involuntarily turned toward Joel. He was looking at me too. Behind me are lush green trees. As I looked over, Joel's eyes held a gentle smile. He also reached out his hand to me. Vivian, we're going home. There are still 20 minutes until 7 o'clock. Natalie has already finished all her styling, but Gabriel is still in the lounge upstairs. Natalie hesitated for a moment but decided to go up and check. The lounge door was slightly ajar. Voices could be heard from inside. Natalie tiptoed closer. Gabriel, Vivian really isn't coming. It's too late to come now. Gabriel, I've always wanted to ask you, how do you really feel about Vivian? You grew up together. She's so beautiful and innocent, completely devoted to you. Natalie unconsciously held her breath. The room fell into a prolonged silence. Only then did they hear Gabriel speak slowly. Didn't feel a thing. Being forced into an engagement since childhood, I've long been fed up with it. Gabriel let out a cold laugh. He was Vivian's senior by 3 years. She was only in middle school when the two families arranged their betrothal. Even later, Vivian grew into a graceful beauty. Gabriel recalled that night at her graduation ceremony. He must have been crazy to have been unable to resist kissing her soft lips. He also accepted the ring she gave him. But Vivian really stands out now. Yeah, so many people in the circle want to pursue her. Remember last month's charity gala? Of course I remember. She was wearing a sapphire blue evening gown and danced the opening dance. The way her skirt flared when she twirled was simply mesmerizing. Gabriel certainly remembers. That night Vivian was overjoyed, kept talking to him non-stop, showing off her new dance moves. Natalie suddenly burst through the door. Gabriel, she was dressed in a champagne-colored **** gown. This gown was custom-made based on an old photograph of Madame Gu. Madame Gu came from an ordinary background and worked in a bar to earn the life-saving money for her father's medical treatment. Years ago, she was rescued by Mr. Dalton during an accident. This beautiful story is still told to this day. Gabriel takes the greatest pride in his parents' love story. Perhaps that's precisely why, when he first saved Natalie, he developed feelings for her. At this moment, Natalie stood before him, elegant and captivating, just like her mother in her youth. Gabriel's heart couldn't help but soften, although he had never imagined things would come to this between him and Natalie. But today, he would at least give her a perfect engagement ceremony. Gabriel stood up and reached out his hand to Natalie. Natalie revealed a gentle smile at the corners of her mouth and walked slowly toward him. You didn't come downstairs for so long. I was worried. Nothing. Let's go over now. Vivian over there. Is everything arranged? Yeah. Gabriel's gaze fell on the watch on his wrist. Vivian is too willful. You can't handle her. Let her stay in Shanghai from now on. Don't let her come back. Natalie felt a surge of joy in her heart, but on the surface, she pretended to be concerned. Wouldn't that be a bit inappropriate? Vivian has been spoiled since childhood. Would she feel wronged being alone outside? Gabriel said indifferently. A little hardship will teach her a lesson. Natalie said no more. She obediently took his arm and walked downstairs. It was exactly 7 o'clock. Her engagement ceremony was about to begin. From this day forward, she no longer has to live that kind of straightened life. No more living in dilapidated old neighborhoods. No more squeezing into a tiny room with her 2 younger brothers. Her family will rise to prominence because of her. Gabriel was the only chance given to her by heaven to change her destiny. She would hold on to him tightly, never letting go. My wedding with Joel is scheduled in 2 weeks. Time is indeed very tight. But the Barrett family has put extraordinary effort into this wedding. They started preparing for it many years ago, so despite being busy, everything is progressing smoothly, Auntie told me. Joel had a serious illness when he was a child. After recovering, the Barrett family specifically invited a master to tell his fortune. It was said that he must get married by the age of 28 in June. This way, one's entire life will be safe and smooth, achieving both fame and success. Barrett's family is very superstitious. When Auntie first called to discuss this marriage proposal, Barrett's family had already consulted someone to match our birth dates. They say that Joel and I are a match made in heaven, destined to be together. So after I agreed to this marriage, the entire Barrett family was overjoyed. I received many precious betrothal gifts. What moved me the most was Joel's grandmother's heirloom jade necklace. Joel handed it to me. I was both touched and guilty. What I should have given him in return was the jade thumb ring my father once gave to my mother. But now, that jade thumb ring is still in someone else's hands, perhaps noticing my low spirits. Joel invited me to the garden. Vivian, are you unhappy? He looked at me with concern. The necklace around my neck glowed with a warm luster. The value of this necklace far exceeded my expectations. I've always been unable to bear others' kindness. Whenever someone is kind to me, I always want to repay them doubly. I carefully thought about the gifts I could give Joel. I feel like none of them are worthy of him. It already makes me feel guilty and upset. Meeting again with Joel's gentle gaze. Somehow, when I decided to let go of Gabriel, I didn't shed a tear. When I left Jingbei, where I had lived for over 20 years, I didn't shed a tear. Gabriel refused to return my ring, yet I didn't shed a tear. But now, my tears keep flowing uncontrollably. Joel was visibly flustered. Though he carried himself with grace and spoke eloquently, a well-bred young master from an affluent family, Yet he appears inexperienced in comforting girls. His clumsy movements while wiping my tears with a tissue were endearingly awkward. Through my tears, I laughed and said, "Joel, you're smudging all my makeup. Are you wearing makeup? Can't you tell?" Joel said earnestly, "You've always been this beautiful in my eyes. I admit I occasionally get moved by sweet talk too." Just like that, his words made me happy again. "You're so good with words, you must have dated a lot of girls, right?" Joel remained silent for a few seconds before saying, "I have." "It's just a shame she didn't like me." I vaguely understood in my heart. So that's what it was. Perhaps it was just because the one he loved belonged to someone else. That's why he closed off his heart and agreed to this marriage. For some unknown reason, a sudden pang of bitterness welled up in my heart, but soon, I consoled myself again. Perhaps it's for the best. We came together, each carrying our own regrets. As I was about to leave the Barrett household, Joel said to me, "Vivian, I hope you can truly see me as your future husband. You've always been outstanding and capable, but occasionally relying on me would make me very happy." My heart seemed to open slightly at that moment. "Joel, I will." In the end, I gave Joel an exquisite ring, not particularly valuable, but I designed the pattern myself. This gift is very pure. These designs were inspired by missing my parents. I just miss my parents. Transformed my longing into every stroke of the pen. My wedding preparations have begun in full swing, but the Barrett family has never publicly revealed who the bride is. I just arrived in Shanghai and don't want to draw too much attention. Between Gabriel and me, there's still unfinished business that needs to be settled. When I left Hu City in a hurry, the servants at home had almost all my belongings packed and shipped to Hu City, including every thoughtful gift he had carefully selected for me over the years. Among them was a limited edition gemstone necklace. It was on my 15th birthday that he personally put it on for me. It was also something I once treasured dearly. In the past, whenever I felt down, seeing this ring would immediately lift my spirits, because a ring, such a personal gift, is always exceptionally special. But now, I've finally figured it out. When someone has never truly liked you, or rather, their feelings for you are not pure, even if you are his fiancé, it's all in vain. Not to mention these worldly possessions. As I sorted out these gifts one by one, my heart was eerily calm. Like a stagnant pool of dead water. In the end, the jewelry box was empty. Yet my heart felt lighter than ever before. Just as I was about to pack them up to mail out, my phone suddenly received a few WeChat messages. They were messages from the staff at the ranch. "My little corgi is sick. It's been listless all day and refuses to eat." The moment I saw the video, my eyes welled up with tears. The staff said the little corgi must have missed me, because I used to visit it every week, but this time, it had been a long while since I last went. I immediately called to inquire about the situation. "Miss Vivian, Mr. Dalton happens to be here. Let him speak with you." I was taken aback for a moment. Gabriel's deep voice already came through. "Vivian, when we first got this dog, what promises did you make? Have you forgotten them all?" "Of course I remember. Dalton family's rule is that you must take full responsibility for the pet you choose. You must take good care of it and never give up halfway." "But isn't it what you've always wanted for me to leave Hu City, Vivian?" Gabriel let out a cold laugh. "Since when have you ever been this obedient? Weren't you always the best at throwing tantrums and acting spoiled since you were little? As long as you ask, Mom and Dad would agree to your requests. It seems you're not that attached to this dog after all." At that moment, his heart suddenly grew flustered. He seemed to hear the subtext in his own words. It turned out she wasn't that concerned about him either. Otherwise, she wouldn't have actually gone to Shanghai. She wouldn't have been so indifferent about his marriage. She wouldn't miss his engagement ceremony. No, she insisted he return that ring. "I'll make time to go back and see it, if possible. I could also bring it to Shanghai. Are you planning to never return to Jingbei for the rest of your life?" His tone gradually grew angry. I let out a light laugh. "Not entirely impossible, yes. I'm getting married and moving to Shanghai. My future life is destined to be here, but there's no need to tell Gabriel any of this. Vivian, you're still so willful and childish. Not a single thing has changed." His voice grew even colder. "Don't make decisions you'll come to deeply regret." "Regret what?" I've already committed to spending my life with Natalie, the wedding date will be set soon. And then what, Vivian? Don't tell me you don't understand. If Natalie and I were to get married, you. I smiled with relief and ease. Gabriel, I wish you both happiness. On the other end of the line, Gabriel suddenly fell silent. I gently put down my phone, ending the call. At 15, I first felt the stirrings of love. From then on, it became unstoppable. Stubbornly, I stopped calling him brother. Now in the blink of an eye, many years have passed. In the end, he still returned to where he started. I don't hate him, nor resent him, all these years of being together day and night. I sincerely wish him happiness. I dialed Dalton uncle's phone number. After greeting him and Dalton aunt, only then did I tactfully bring up the matter of that ring. Uncle Dalton, I'm really sorry for not reaching out to you all this time. I've been thinking a lot during this period and have come to understand many things. Since Brother Gabriel has already made his own choice, let bygones be bygones. There was a long silence on the other end of the phone. Vivian, you know what, all these years, your uncle and I have treated you as our own daughter. Gabriel is too stubborn. It's our fault for not raising him better. You've suffered unfairly. Hearing the familiar voice on the phone, my tears began to flow uncontrollably, but I know this reluctance stems only from their genuine love and care for me. Uncle Dalton, I understand the kindness and intentions of you and Auntie, but matters of the heart cannot be forced. I've already let it go. Please don't be sad, all right? I'll have Gabriel return that ring to you. In a few days, we're going to Shanghai for a wedding. I'll give it to you in person then. I whispered my thanks and hung up the phone. The courier company's staff had already arrived. The wrapped gifts were loaded onto the truck by the staff. Soon, these items would be back in his hands. In a few more days, Uncle Dalton and the others will come to Shanghai. When that ring was returned to me, those youthful delusions of grandeur, and just like that, it was over. From then on, we each rushed towards different lives. Gabriel got drunk at a business cocktail party. He staggered out of the restroom. He heard Lin Yu on the phone. That's great, baby. I'll fly to Shanghai tomorrow. I'm your only bridesmaid. You know, by the way, have you chosen the best man yet? What? You've arranged so many people to accompany me. You're the best, my dear. I love you to death. Gabriel stood in the resplendently decorated corridor. Lin Yu's excited voice echoed in his ears. All that remained in the end was that affectionate term of endearment. He must be really drunk, otherwise, how could he hear such an absurd conversation? Yes, he must be drunk. That's why he's hallucinating. Perhaps it was just because I missed Vivian too much, so much that it created an illusion. Gabriel staggered over. Lin Yu, who had just hung up the phone, was startled. Gabriel, who were you talking to just now? He stared intently into Lin Yu's eyes. I heard you're going to whose city for a wedding. Were you talking to her on that call just now? His handsome face was now slightly contorted. Those usually unruly eyes were now bloodshot. He forced out a cold smile, but it looked exceptionally ferocious. Don't tell me you're going to attend her wedding. Lin Yu was initially frightened by him, but she quickly composed herself. Isn't this instant karma? All these years, she had shed countless tears of heartache and sorrow for her best friend. Now, her heart was filled with nothing but pure satisfaction. High and mighty Dalton family's young master has come to this. Wasn't he the best at playing with people's emotions? Didn't he love watching those who loved him suffer and struggle? He'll have plenty of opportunities to savor this taste in the future. But Lin Yu wouldn't tell him the truth. Vivian forbade it, so she absolutely wouldn't speak. She wasn't foolish enough to let Gabriel know the truth and allow him to cause trouble in Shanghai. It was the most important day of her best friend's life. She would never let this selfish man ruin things. You misheard. I'm going to Shanghai for a wedding. Vivian will be there too, but the one getting married is our college classmate. Gabriel narrowed his eyes. Vivian doesn't have any close classmates in Shanghai. Lin Yu sneered. Gabriel, have you ever truly understood Vivian? When have you ever genuinely cared about her feelings? When have you ever considered her perspective? You never did. You have no idea how precious Vivian truly is. You'll never be worthy of the sincerity she's shown you all these years. After saying these words, Lin Yu turned and walked away. Gabriel gazed at her retreating figure, feeling a sudden dull ache in his chest. He didn't understand why he felt so miserable. All at once, he desperately longed to see Vivian, even if it was just a glimpse of her from afar. The next day, he received a large package delivered from Shanghai. The reason it arrived so quickly was that Joel had specially arranged a private plane for delivery. At that time, I was immersed in the joy of wedding rehearsals, completely unaware of all this. Gabriel, his hands trembled slightly as he opened the box. At first, the things inside felt unfamiliar, but soon, memories came flooding back. The first Cartier necklace he gave to Vivian, that priceless sapphire bracelet, a brand new Porsche car key, and a box full of assorted jewelry. Finally, there's that necklace. Gabriel held the velvet jewelry box. His vision suddenly blurred. When are you going to marry your little princess? Friends always teased him like this. Back then, he was young and arrogant, looking down on everyone, pursued by many, yet indifferent to all. 18-year-old Vivian was radiantly beautiful, like a lotus emerging from water. Every time he took her out, it drew countless envious glances. He secretly gloated, because such a perfect girl belonged to him alone. At that time, he truly wanted to marry her, or rather, he had been certain of this outcome since he was very young. That's why he gave her that one-of-a-kind ring. But since when did he start feeling weary, and at what point did the new love replace the old? Was it truly that he no longer loved her, or was he too certain she would never leave? Gabriel clutched the ring tightly. Tears streamed down uncontrollably. At that moment, I was focused on the final wedding rehearsal, completely unaware Gabriel had seen those gifts, especially her reaction to that Cartier necklace. When Joel first kissed me during the wedding preparations, I had no idea. Gabriel, because of that ring, slapped Natalie hard across the face. How ironic to think, that very day, Natalie was kneeling on the ground falsely accusing me. When Gabriel pushed me and I fell in the mall, no one expected this day to come. But now, I no longer feel heartbroken over Gabriel and Natalie's affairs. When Uncle Dalton returned that ring to me, I also shared with them the news of my upcoming marriage. Both elders were quite shocked, because they had come to Shanghai specifically to attend a wedding. It was Barrett Group's president Joel's wedding. And this one has always been mysterious and low-key. The bride-to-be, whom even the paparazzi couldn't capture, turned out to be me. They were both happy for me and heartbroken, especially Dalton auntie. She held my hand tightly, tears streaming uncontrollably. Vivian, auntie shouldn't be crying on your big day. But I truly regret it. It's all my fault for not disciplining Gabriel properly. Let him make mistake after mistake. Gabriel wants to break up with Natalie. But Natalie absolutely refuses to agree. Dalton's family even made a scene at Dalton's villa, swore to stay here and never leave. Just as the two families were locked in a bitter dispute, Natalie suddenly discovered she was pregnant. The Daltons would never allow Natalie to abort the child. This marriage seemed to be a done deal. I leaned into Dalton auntie's embrace, my eyes also reddening. I remembered the days when I first arrived at the Dalton household, missing my parents every night. I recalled the image of Dalton auntie holding me and whispering words of comfort. I remembered those carefree days of youth, the years when they loved me as their own daughter. In the end, tears still fell. Vivian, it's Gabriel who wasn't blessed enough. Aunt Dalton wiped away my tears, sighed, and then smiled with relief. The Barrett family has long held an impeccable reputation in northern Beijing, and Joel stands out as a rising star among the new elite of the business world. Vivian, your future life will surely be wonderful. I know a man like Joel, who is as gentle and refined as jade. Even if he doesn't love me, my married life wouldn't be too bad. But I never expected happiness would come so fiercely and passionately. When I handed over the ring left by my parents to Joel, he pulled out a treasured video from his phone's album. In the video, I was wearing a light blue gown, gracefully dancing in the center of the dance floor. Meanwhile, Joel stood not far away, his gaze following my every move. That was the opening dance at last year's charity ball. As the special guest, I performed the first dance. The person who invited me on stage was none other than Joel. But at that time, my heart was occupied by Gabriel. I danced with him out of politeness. I only felt that this rising star in the business world had an extraordinary demeanor. Who would have thought we'd have such a fate today? Watching myself dancing gracefully in the video, I laughed and cried. Like a child, I pointed at us on the screen, yet couldn't utter a single word. Joel gently embraced me from behind. Remember I told you I once had someone special in my heart? He lightly touched the ring, nuzzling his face against the crook of my neck. Vivian, I've been waiting for the right moment. Until the day you give me this ring, I just want to tell you, the person I admire is you. When I was young, I loved reading romance novels the most. They often used the term gentlemanly scoundrel to describe the male lead. This phrase appears derogatory but is actually complimentary. But I never imagined that someone as Joel, gentle and refined as him, could have such a side to him. On the wedding day, he was impeccably dressed in a suit, exuding elegance. His entire demeanor was outstanding, like a graceful jade tree swaying in the wind. But when it came to the wedding night, he shed that formal attire and turned into the scoundrel who made my heart race and cheeks flush. It was the first time I'd heard so many sweet nothings, the first time someone called me baby in the gentlest tone, the first time I was coaxed into trying all sorts of embarrassing positions, the first time I cried from pain and shed tears from pleasure, the first time I experienced the taste of love, savored the wonders of joy, entwined all night, and lost track of time. The day after our wedding, I slept until the sun was high in the sky. Meanwhile, Joel had already completed his morning routine, which included exercise, reading the newspaper, and enjoying tea. A few days into the marriage, the housekeeper said to me with a smile, "Madam, you should have seen how happily Mr. Barrett was smiling that day." Indeed, in all my years working at the Barrett household, I've never seen the master so talkative. He greeted everyone, even the delivery guy at the door. I think the master couldn't wait to tell the whole world he'd married his beloved bride. I was both shy and amused, quickly making an excuse to hide in the backyard. From a distance, I saw Joel's car driving in. He got out of the car, handed his briefcase and coat to the butler, looked over in my direction immediately. "Joel." I stood in the garden, waving and bouncing excitedly towards him. Joel couldn't help but smile back when he saw my grin. He walked through the dense garden, coming toward me, and I couldn't wait any longer, rushing to meet him. He stopped in his tracks, shaking his head with a helpless smile, opening his arms and waiting. The moment I threw myself into his arms, he held me tightly. Gabriel only learned Vivian was marrying Joel on the day of their engagement party. At first, he couldn't believe the news at all. He even ridiculously thought, "This is nothing more than Vivian's trick to provoke him on purpose." Just like his engagement with Natalie, there would be no substantial outcome whatsoever. But when a friend sent real-time photos of Vivian's engagement banquet, when he saw Vivian in a champagne-colored dress, holding onto Joel's arm, when he saw his parents sitting at the main table, laughing so joyfully, when he saw Linyu, as the best friend, wiping away tears in excitement, when Joel tenderly slipped the diamond ring onto Vivian's finger, when Vivian snuggled happily in Joel's arms, Gabriel suddenly felt a sharp pain in his chest, as if something had shattered. He stood there in a daze, the voices of those around him becoming indistinct. Only one thought remained in his mind. Vivian is really getting married. Vivian, she is about to become someone else's wife. But since childhood, hasn't she always liked him the most, since she was little? Wasn't her greatest wish to marry him? On her 18th birthday, she personally handed that ring to him. They had once made a promise to be together for a lifetime, and if he truly had no feelings for her at all, why would he have allowed her to stay by his side all these years? Actually, it's more like indulgence, rather. He had been shamelessly exploiting Vivian. Back then, he was young and reckless. As the heir of the Dalton family conglomerate, he was privileged and dashingly handsome. There are always beautiful women of all kinds throwing themselves at him. He enjoys their admiration, advances, and jealous rivalries. But deep down, he knows very well that these are just games. Vivian often says that every one of his past relationships ended because of her. But she didn't know that he never really cared about those women. Once he got bored, he naturally wanted to ditch them. But back then, he was the crown prince of the Beijing elite circle. How could he afford to earn a reputation for being heartless? So the sister who had always depended on him since childhood became the perfect shield. He deliberately had someone provoke Vivian. At that time, Vivian was innocent and pure, like the first snow. As long as Dalton or others said a few words, she would immediately rush over with red eyes to confront him, and he, while finding her annoying, couldn't help but break up with her, while secretly feeling pleased. He actually enjoyed seeing Vivian get jealous. He liked watching her shed tears of frustration because other women appeared around him, so adorable yet so heart-wrenching. But she's always easy to cheer up, just a few sweet words from him or some small gifts, accompany her shopping, watching movies, and enjoying desserts. She will soon turn her tears into laughter. He thought she would forgive him this time too, but Natalie was pregnant. Although my parents felt sorry for me, they couldn't change anything. He was determined to end this ill-fated relationship. In his eyes, Natalie was nothing but a scheming woman. From the very first moment they met, she had been plotting against him. What accidental encounter and timely rescue, it was all a setup. What recreates the romance of parents' youth? All are carefully designed deceptions. Natalie is just a gold digger trying to climb the social ladder. He forced Natalie to go to the hospital, but she stubbornly refused. He showed no room for negotiation. Natalie actually called her family members to make a scene. Gabriel had never seen such a shameless scoundrel before. They squatted outside the mansion, crying and making a fuss, threatening to expose the scandal. Dalton's family has been in business for generations and values reputation above all else. Even reporting to the police wasn't the best solution. Left with no choice, they had to settle the matter with money. But after getting a taste of the benefits, these people became even more demanding. They cling like festering sores, like blood-sucking mosquitoes, like shadows that cannot be shaken off, like a nightmare from which one can never awaken. Gabriel was utterly exhausted by the torment of these people. Meanwhile, Natalie's belly grew larger day by day. He finally made up his mind to tear off the mask of pretense. As the security team cleared the area, Natalie finally faced reality. She demanded a hefty sum of hush money. The day the truth came to light, Gabriel seemed to truly see Natalie for the first time. She was snobbish, greedy, hypocritical, utterly repulsive beneath her beautiful exterior. The moment he handed her the check, he couldn't help but laugh at himself, laughing at my own utter foolishness, the affection of childhood sweethearts, the warmth of spending every moment together. A real man can resist external temptations, can also make one's beloved shine brightly, and he is nothing short of a scumbag. Later, Vivian's fiancé drove her BMW to Hooching as well. When he went to the garage, the car was already gone. Only his car remained, parked there all alone. Gabriel got into the driver's seat. He hit the highway, driving like a madman, lap after lap, tirelessly. Finally, he closed his eyes and let go of the steering wheel. He crashed through the guardrail, but his wish remained unfulfilled. His parents wept heart-wrenching sobs in the hospital room. Gabriel seemed to truly grow up in this moment. He endured excruciating pain to comfort his parents. He secretly vowed never to live such an absurd life again. Soon after, Natalie terminated the pregnancy. Later, he was convicted by the court for alleged extortion. Also involved in the case were her most troublesome father and brother. Other relatives, seeing no more benefits to squeeze, all dispersed. The money they received wasn't much. But at least they didn't come for nothing. He took the money back to his hometown, not caring about Natalie or their survival. Only Natalie's mother was left. As her son was imprisoned, she cried all day, filled with hatred for Natalie. These past events happened in Jingbei, like a faded old photograph gradually blurring, while the brand new life belonging to Vivian has only just begun. Thank you for watching today's story. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up and share it with your friends. We'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments below, so feel free to share your opinions, and don't forget to subscribe to our channel for more great stories. We'll see you in the next video.